So I was at the gym yesterday doing my workout, and I like to take a look at some of the ladies there. You guys know what I mean. We all love doing that a little bit. And this one girl, she was pretty cute. I saw her, but she was pretty muscular too, which I thought was kind of weird. But she wasn't lean, so it didn't look freaky, but it did look a bit like she was a little bit bulky, But I was like, all right, I mean, not too big of a deal. She's kind of cute. So I finished my workout because I like to well, I don't really approach them. I like to think about approaching them when I'm done with my workout, so that if anything goes wrong, I don't have to stay. I can leave quickly. I can abort the mission. But I'm sitting down, kind of looking at this girl. I was like, okay, trying to amp myself up a bit. Because I have spoken to women at the gym before, but I get really anxious about it. I think I'm pretty high inhibition, so I don't really spontaneously do things like that very often. So I was thinking about it, and then this other girl walks by, brown hair, pretty pale, and she has this really nice hair. And I thought, oh, I'm gonna approach her instead. She walked by, and I was like, okay, she looks way more approachable. She seemed sweet as well, and she had acne on her face. So at least in my mind, that makes her seem more approachable, because a lot of guys wouldn't like that. And obviously, it's not optimal, but it doesn't really change anything about her, in my opinion. Especially because I think the underlying bone structure and phenotype is way more important. But, besides that. So I saw her walk by, and I was like, all right, I'm going after her. And she went to this machine. Well, it wasn't really a machine. It's that half yoga ball thing that people like to do their, they raise their legs to do a lower ab exercise on that. So she went up to that, and she was doing that. And then so I went up to her, and I was like, oh, can I hop in on this real quick? Real quick, 10 seconds. And she said, oh yeah, don't worry, I'm done. And I was like, great, that's great, dude. The second I come up, she's done. And I probably could have in that moment been like, oh, wait, but then I was like, damn it. Because I didn't want to look like an idiot for basically lying in a way, It's like, no, I didn't actually want to use it. I only wanted to talk to you. But it's whatever. So I was like, you know what? No. All right, I already said I was going to do this. I already talked to her. It's a little bit awkward now, but it's okay. So then I went to go look for her again, and I swear she was nowhere to be found. I did a little loop. I looked at all different places. She was nowhere to be found. So I was about to leave, but then I was like, you know what? Let me do one more. So I walked back in there, and I see her in the corner on this machine. So I'm like, all right, you know what? Let's go. So I start walking up, and then she's in the middle of her set, so I sit down for a little bit, and I'm trying to think about what to say. It's probably 2-3 minutes, nothing long. And then this other guy walks up to her. This guy with blonde hair. He was pretty I don't want to say built, but he was kind of I guess he was kind of muscular, but he had more of the power lifter build, but not not ridiculously, you know what I mean? And she was talking to him, and he was asking, I forget, they were saying some stuff, and I was like, great, a guy approached. It's nothing's going right, you know what I mean? But that happened, and so I was like, okay, this is obviously her boyfriend, right? So I think we're done here. But you know what I mean? It's the what is it? The sunk cost fallacy. That's what happened to me. I was like, you know what? We're already this far. Let's do it. Why not? So I walked up to her, and I was like, hey, I want to say you have really pretty hair. And she was like, oh, thank you. I was like, yeah, was that your boyfriend that you were talking to? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, yep, figures. All right, well, have a nice day. And she was like, yeah, you too. Or whatever. She was sweet, but it's dude, that's my luck. That's my chances. It's so annoying, bro. But you know what I mean? I feel like a lot of girls have boyfriends. And this one, I guess also I was probably less scared because I kind of knew that I was going to be rejected. Or I had at least a very strong feeling. And like I knew that she probably had a boyfriend, so then it was all good. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm the best at approaching women. I do it very rarely. Because, like I said, I'm high inhibition. It's fun to do, like it's fun afterwards, but it's really like nerve-wracking. Really nerve-wracking. Like one of the most nerve-wracking things in my opinion. To try to build up the courage to do it. Even if the woman is not, like, that's also the thing, at least for me, I literally can't do it if the woman is like above a certain, it's not only attractiveness, because, you know, I've approached women who I think are relatively, have I? I don't know. Maybe nothing more than a 7. But it's also like, if they're hot versus if they're cute and pretty. Like, I could definitely do the cute. Could also try to do, like, you know, the pretty and the beautiful. That's what I'm aiming for, but I literally can't approach a girl who's hot. You know, maybe I'll try it one day, but it's like, it seems like too much of an obstacle to overcome for me. Like, my brain, like, shuts off doing it. Though, I think a lot of guys are like that, and so perhaps she doesn't get approached that much. Though, you know what I mean, like, with social media and frat parties and stuff, she probably does. So there's probably not much, like, you know, of a arbitrage or whatever to be had there. A little gap in the market. I don't really think so. But yeah, it's hard, I think, to approach women, especially because, at least for me, I don't think I'm very good at, again, approaching people out of nowhere. I have a feeling that, like, if I saw myself from the third person, I'd be like, what is this guy doing? You know, like, it's not that bad, but I feel like people can tell something's off. Like, something's off with this guy. You know? Afterwards, there was this guy, and he was wearing a t-shirt, and I was like, you know, let me go compliment his t-shirt. So I was like, hey, I like your shirt, man. And he's like, oh, thank you. And then his friend with him was like, hey, what about my shirt? And I was like, yeah, it's all right, you know, not as good as that one, though. I was trying to, like, crack a little joke. And they were, you know, they were being chill and receptive, but one thing I'm really bad at is, like, ending conversations and trying to do so without being awkward. And so I kind of freeze up a little bit, and I don't know, man. It's not that bad, but it's definitely, I think it's noticeable. And I think it's also noticeable when I approach women that I'm nervous. Now, I'm hoping that the nervousness comes off as because I think it is like a sort of excitement and like a sort of cute type of nervousness or an endearing type of nervousness. But that's also based on your looks too. So if you look a certain way, obviously you're creepy. You guys know the meme, you know, the hey Susan, ew creep, or hey Susan, hi Brad. Basically like that. But I think, yeah, of course, like, it's not only about your looks. A lot of it does have to do with your mannerisms. And these are things you can't necessarily control, like, with your conscious mind. And you can't simply choose to not be nervous, you know? That's why I think alcohol is really interesting, because it's almost like a suppressant. Obviously, it lowers your inhibition, but it almost makes it so people don't, it almost covers up your natural genetics or personality. And I wonder if that has had a long-term effect on society in that way, that it has allowed the proliferation of people who are relatively high inhibition, because even they can artificially lower their inhibition. It's probably not a major thing, but you guys probably understand what I mean with that. But yeah, man, dude, approaching women is hard. Although, I will say, I think it can be higher ROI, but I've never really, I don't know, I don't think I've ever, because I haven't done it that many times, I don't think I've ever gotten anything out of it. Except for, well, I did have somebody in my class that I sort of approached, but I would classify that differently. Like a real cold approach, like being in the gym and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I never had a really bad experience, but I don't think I've ever gotten the number. Which which really sucks, dude. But what are you gonna do, man? You know what I mean? I don't know. I guess I'll keep trying at various different points. But I think, again, like having a warm social circle and environment is the best way to do it. Though, again, establishing that is difficult and it's hard and I get uncomfortable. But I'm uncomfortable with the cold approach too. But at least it's easier to fathom than having a continual obligation to be with people. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't really know. What do you guys think about the approaches? Have you guys done approaching or no? Is it the method, or is looks maxing the only way? A lot of people are like, no, bro, you gotta grow your garden, dude, and then the flower, or no, you gotta grow your garden, plant your flowers, and then the butterflies will come. It's like, okay, dude, who do you think you are? Like, you're Confucius or something? Like, what? Like, what are you talking about? That's not how it works. I mean, again, to some extent, if you look really good, then women will go after you. But, I mean, also, I do know that a good amount of relationships that I know were started by women approaching the men. But it's like, I feel like you're never going to get a super high quality woman that way. Or she might be nice, but she's not going to be super attractive because she's going to have enough guys going after her, is what I would think. And I think you can kind of punch up a bit if you are the one doing the approaching. But of course, it depends on your confidence, your social status, etc. So let me know what you guys think about that. But yeah, that's about it. See ya.